Hey, look at him!
Boogeyman band coming round the bend. Is Boogeyman band. Is Boogeyman band.
Tribute. Greetings, my fellow Fright Fiends, and thanks so much for dropping by the Horror Zone channel. I hope everyone's doing well. Today's video is going to be the second in my quiet little tribute of Salem's Lot segments that I've been working on. The first one I published back on September 27th. That was, of course, on Barney McFadden, who played Ned Tebbets. That one I didn't really have a lot of information to go off of, so most of it was just sort of I put it all together from, you know, just looking online, going on sites like IMDb, Wikipedia, anything I could find out about the actor, because he's really an enigma. There wasn't really a lot of information outside of his filmography. I really enjoyed doing that, and I had wanted to do more, but October was a really packed month, especially with the new Halloween film coming out. You know, I didn't really have the time to put into Salem's Lot as much as I did in the previous months, but I'm really getting back into it. Of course, this month, on the 17th of this month, it will mark the 43rd anniversary of the film. I'm working on my book, My Life in the Lot. I'm really, you know, happy with the way it's going. It's still, you know, gonna be tough. I'm not gonna say exactly when I'll be done with the book, but, you know, I am dedicated to doing it. How good it turns out, we'll just have to wait and see. It's my first time tackling something like this. But in the meantime, I also want to focus on this little series that I started. And I felt like the second episode, the best person to talk about in the second episode was Reggie Nalder, of course, who played Kurt Barlow. Now, I was able to find a lot more information out about him. Again, I went to the same resources, Wikipedia, IMDb, just checked online, but also there's a fantastic interview in this this is from Tony Earnshaw's book, Studies in the Horror Film Salem's Lot, that came out in 2014. One of my prized possessions. This book goes for big bucks now online. There's a terrific chapter in this by David Del Valle. I think that's how you say his last name. It might be Valley, but David Del Valle. It's called The Twilight of Mr. Barlow, an interview with Reggie Nalder. Now, I didn't include the interview portions in this video, but I did include some. I sort of put in pieces that I thought were relevant. But it talks about David and Reggie's relationship, and it also talks about the screening of Salem's Lot, which I thought was really, really cool, and just talks about what Reggie was like as a person. I also go into some of his history, you know, where he was born, his parents, and talk about just, you know, what he was, you know, the other film work that he did besides Salem's Lot and The Man Who Knew Too Much, which is the other really notable performance of his from that Hitchcock film from 1956. So I hope everyone enjoys this. The first part is just going to be kind of a background on him, his life, his passing, when he passed away, the movies that he did, showing a few clips and still photos, including a couple of still photos that people didn't see until after his passing, that show him before he had the burn scars and before he had that look that, you know, is what, you know, Tobe Hooper saw and why he cast him in the role of Barlow. I think a lot of tribute has to be paid to Reggie Nalder and the amazing work that he did in the film. And I hope I did him justice with this little tribute, because he really means a lot to me. His performance means a lot to me, and I just wanted to share that with everyone. So I'm going to let this footage roll, and I'll come back for my closing thoughts. Here we go. Nalder was born Alfred Reginald Natzler in Vienna, Austria, the son of Ida Herzog from Savov and Sigmund Natzler. His parents were from Jewish families. The year of his birth has been a matter of speculation. While his obituary in the New York Times claimed 1922, photographic evidence has revealed that it was significantly earlier. Most sources now cite 1911 as his birth year. Little is known about his early years. His mother was a beautiful actress who appeared in German films between 1919 and 1929. Nalder himself was an Apache dancer and stage actor in the 1920s and 1930s. And the anecdotes he occasionally shared with his friends hint at a colorful career even before his life in films. Photos of Nalder from this period, which surfaced after his death, reveal a handsome young man in his early 20s, almost unrecognizable as the man we know from Celluloid.
The burns that scarred the lower third of his face and forever cast him as a villain are also a source of uncertainty. Nalder has at least 3 different explanations for them. Whatever the true cause, it was his disfigurement which bestowed upon him a permanent place in the annals of film. His career was punctuated by 2 definite high points. The first was his role as Reen, the leering assassin of Hitchcock's 1956 remake of The Man Who Knew Too Much. His second great triumph was as the horrifyingly effective vampire Barlow in the TV miniseries Salem's Lot from 1979. In between, he had some memorable film and television appearances: The Cold Russian Operative in The Manchurian Candidate from 1962, The Yellow-Jacketed Gunman in Dario Argento's The Bird with the Crystal Plumage from 1970, a part written especially for him, The Lecherous Witch Hunter Albino in Adrian Hoven's notorious Mark of the Devil from 1970, the title character in the thriller The Return of Andrew Bentley from 1961, and the alien Shiraz Andorian ambassador in the classic Star Trek episode Star Trek The Original Series, Journey to Babel, 1967. Though small, Nalder's role in Fellini's Casanova 1976 was also a source of personal pride. Along the way were many forgettable roles, and a few of which he himself was embarrassed. He insisted on being credited as Dietlif Van Berg in his sex films Dracula Sucks and Blue Ice. Dracula Sucks came out in 1978 and Blue Ice came out in 1985. However dubious the quality of some of the films in which he appeared, his gaunt face, expressive eyes, and soft, haunting voice never failed to absorb. In real life, Nalder was a soft-spoken man of considerable culture and taste who knew 4 languages, enjoyed the opera. Tosca was reportedly his favorite. He died of bone cancer at Santa Monica Nursing Home on November 11, 1991. With him went the truth behind the face of the lauded 1,000 Lips and the keys to much of his mystery-shrouded past. The real life of Kurt Barlow and that of his interpreter, Reggie Nalder, have more in common than one might imagine. The fictional Mr. Barlow is a European outsider trying to blend in, if only at night, and with his new American neighbors. Reggie was also a European trying to blend into the fabric of Hollywood life as a working actor. Of course, unlike Barlow, Reggie Nalder was in life a gentle human being, saddled with a face that only seemed to function for the casting director as the heavy in miniseries and horror films here and abroad. When Larry Cohen originally came up with the notion of making Stephen King's master vampire in Salem's Lot a monster in the mold of Max Schreck's Count Orlok instead of the one in King's book, one didn't know whether to laugh or cry. King denounced the idea in print, and at the same time it did seem a bit cheesy to bow to the then popular 1979 concept of remaking every genre classic in sight, i.e. John Badham's Dracula, Werner Herzog's Nosferatu, etc. However, when all the dust settled, the die-hard horror fans all united around Reggie Nalder's spectacular turn as Kurt Barlow, kept in the shadows until halfway through the miniseries, until the moment when he propels himself through the kitchen window as a black ball of horror, only to rise up a bloodlusting devil with no need to speak any dialogue, as his appearance says it all. I was completely unaware that Reggie was making this film during the shooting of it in Ferndale, California. He came by my place in Oakhurst Drive in Beverly Hills, which was only 2 blocks from his own apartment on Weatherby Drive, one afternoon with a t-shirt which had a logo for Salem's Lot starring me in the face and an 11x14 photograph of himself as Barlow standing on the staircase of the Marston house, looking magnificently evil in the black floor-length cape. Reggie had wanted to surprise me as well as keeping this latest job of his a secret, knowing I would have driven him crazy asking to come to set, especially when I learned his co-star was the great James Mason, an idol of mine ever since I saw Lolita, in which he is sublime. Even though I was denied set visits, Reggie somewhat made up for things by inviting me to the reception given to the film by the Academy of Science Fiction and Horror, which awarded Salem's Lot their Saturn Award in 1979. The film was the talk of the town, as Tobe Hooper was known mainly for the independent horror film The Texas Chainsaw Massacre and had no prior experience in directing television. Warner Brothers sent a limo to Reggie's, and off we went, in true Hollywood fashion. Let me explain that Reggie was a survivor in what life as well as in films and had long ago made peace with his looks. This did not mean, however, that he went about in the dark for fear of being seen by his fellow creatures. After all, one does not become an actor if one is shy, although he was terribly so at times. Yet he had been bitten by the acting bug at an early age and loved filmmaking. so much that he wanted to be a part of it, regardless of his lack of good looks. As Tobe Hooper said at the time, he knew of no other actor but Reggie that he would accept for Mr. Barlow once the die had been cast to make him a monster. The banquet itself was a large affair with loads of celebrities at every table. We were centered with producer Richard Coberts along with several Warner Brothers publicists. At the entrance, we were given copies of the latest issue of Cinema Fantastique magazine, which had devoted its cover story to Salem's Lot with the poster art featuring Reggie looming above the Marston house with James Mason, David Soul, and Lance Kerwin below. What we did not know was that in the text of the article itself was a time bomb just waiting to go off, as director Tobe Hooper had thoughtlessly commented on Reggie's facial flaws by telling the magazine's interviewer he was looking for the ugliest man in Hollywood, and that man was without a doubt Reggie Nalder. I wasted no time in removing the offending page from all copies at the table, with help from producer Coberts himself, who was disturbed by Hooper's remarks. It was previewed on the Warner Brothers lot with a makeshift supper. We sat behind David Soul, who was at the height of fame from his own series Starsky and Hutch, and not to mention a one-hit wonder on AM radio with Don't Give Up on Us Baby. David had a great time, having brought a six-pack of beer into the screening room so that at key moments on the screen we would hear him pop another can for the occasion. The amazing thing about watching a nearly 3-hour miniseries on the big screen with only one intermission gave the whole experience a feature film feel. Reggie was a trip to sit next to during the unveiling of what was to become his second most famous role. When he makes his first appearance on screen, Reggie let out a laugh that was heard all around the room. Then everyone there applauded, making him feel, well, like a movie star. When the lights came up, David Soul patted Reggie on the shoulder and said, "You were great, man. Loved working with you." Reggie never really went into much detail about the actual filming of Salem's Lot, but he did mention to me while we were looking at the key book of stills out at Warner Brothers publicity office, that the makeup was very uncomfortable, especially his yellow contact lenses that would move around, causing filming to stop whenever this happened. His fingernails would fall off, as well as his front fangs. They would not fit in his mouth. And then the fangs would go missing, as the crew would keep them as souvenirs. He loved working with James Mason, who treated Reggie with great respect, and he assured me that the feeling was mutual. Reggie Nalder would go on to make several other films in his life, but nothing outside of the Hitchcock film would ever bring him the recognition he received from Salem's Lot. He signed countless photos for fans around the world and took the time to answer all his fan mail when he received it. Reggie may have looked like a monster in the cinema of nightmares, but in life he had the eyes of Bambi and the soul of Santa Claus. In his later years, Reggie withdrew from social circle of artists and bohemians. In August of 1991, I returned from San Francisco to find a message from him on my answering machine saying, "Auf Wiedersehen." I thought little of it at the time, but later I was shocked to discover my mysterious enigmatic friend had succumbed to bone cancer on the 19th of November, 1991.
That is going to be the conclusion of my second quiet little tribute to Salem's Lot. I do have 2 more planned for this month. The next one will be focusing on James Mason's wife, Clarissa K. Mason, who played Marjorie Glick in the film. That one I'm really interested to share with everybody. I've already done the research on that one and found out some really interesting things about her. And the final one I'll close out the month with will be Ed Flanders, one of my heroes from the film, who played Dr. Bill Norton, but I've also been a fan of him in other things. He was also in this film called Bye Bye Love, which is the last film that he did. He was on shows like St. Elsewhere. He was in The Exorcist 3. I love that actor, and I can't wait to share that video with everyone towards the latter half of November. So again, and also very grateful for Tony Earnshaw's book. This book is a masterpiece. This is, like I said, this is my Salem's Lot Bible, much like Crystal Lake Memories is my Friday the 13th Bible. I love this book. It's been a tremendous resource, and if you guys have a chance to find one that's under the crazy prices that it's going for, if you can find one cheaper than $500 to $600, which is what I've seen this thing go for, snatch it up. If you're a Salem's Lot fan, you need to have this in your collection. So that is going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks so much for all of the support. Remember, I do have the Creep Show contest that is still going on. It's going on till this Thursday. I still don't have any entries. So if I don't have any entries by Tuesday, I'm probably going to just cut it and figure something else out. I don't know why people aren't interested in this, but I got to figure something else out because I want to help out House of Mysterious Secrets. For some reason, people just aren't interested in the contest that I put out. So anyway, that is what it is. I don't care. You know, like I said, I'm just trying new things here. If they don't work, we'll figure something else out. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this tribute to Reggie Nalder. I appreciate everyone's support, and I'll talk to you again real soon. Take it easy, stay scared as always, and remember, you can do nothing against the master. Peace. Hey fellow Fright Fiends, just want to say thank you again for supporting Boogeyman Ben's Horror Zone. If you're brand new to the channel and you haven't yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell notification so you're updated every time I drop a new video. I typically do this once or twice a week with new content. I've been doing this for over 11 years, and the horror genre is a passion of mine, and it really means a lot to me that I can share that passion with all of you guys. Thanks so much again for the support, and I'll talk to you again later. Take it easy, stay scared as always. Peace.